Do you know why I know a lot about old school wrestling theme music? Well, it's because I'm an old man, and I was there listening to these songs on my Sony Walkman. And while my friends were all making make-out mixtapes, I was making wrestling theme mixtapes. Yes, I know, I'm a big fat dork. I am, but my favorite was a cassette of wrestling themes that were played at pro sports arenas across the United States. You know what I'm talking about. They're the ones you hear in between the timeouts, the sneaker squeaks, and the referee whistles. So let's take a jog or a jog down memory lane, because I'm Kevin Callis from Wrestling Behind the Themes, and here are Kevin's 7 wrestling theme songs you totally forgot are all-time great sports anthems. The Final Countdown by Europe, Bryan Danielson. One of the most monumental moments in pro wrestling this century was the AEW debut of Bryan Danielson at the 2021 All Out pay-per-view. However, watching the American Dragon officially become All Elite with a new hip-hop remix of his Flight of the Valkyries WWE theme in tow was, in the eyes of some, slightly disappointing, as some marks were hopeful that Danielson would arrive in AEW with this interplanetary anthem blaring from the speakers like it does at practically every sporting event worldwide. So back in the day, after making a name for himself as a technical wizard capable of putting on stunning matches on the independent wrestling circuit in Japan and stateside with Ring of Honor, the King of the Indies used to prepare to kick someone's effing head in by playing the Swedish band Europe's The Final Countdown. Doo-doo-doo. Do-do-do-do. During his entrance, fans would pound their feet and clap along to the beat while belting out the famous chorus at the top of their lungs. Inspired by David Bowie's Space Oddity, this song is laced with enough 80s synth and Aquanet hairspray to destroy the environment, which is something that the eco-friendly Dragon certainly wouldn't approve of in this day and age. But it's still a tremendous hairband banger. Sirius by the Alan Parsons Project, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. From one dragon to another, this spine-tingling, goosebump-inducing instrumental piece of music was a happy accident created when Alan Parsons was just fidgeting around on a sampling keyboard back in late 1981, and out popped this tune that wound up being used as the introduction to his album Eye in the Sky. Eventually, this song caught the ear of a Chicago DEEJ named Tommy Edwards, who also served as the PA announcer for the Chicago Bulls. Edwards began using Sirius as the opening lineup introductory music for Michael Jordan, and the tune quickly became the anthem for the NBA's next dynasty. Now, in some respects, Ricky Steamboat is comparable to Jordan. Both men had all the qualities of a champion: intensity, work ethic, and drive. However, Steamboat was also the de facto greatest pure babyface of all time, having never, ever turned heel. This song and the Dragon will forever be linked to WrestleMania 3. His classic Mania match with the Macho Man Randy Savage ranks among the best WWE matches of all time, full of fast-paced, dramatic sequences that were the result of months of meticulous planning on the part of the two competitors. And in the end, much like Air Jordan, Steamboat was the big winner. Whoop, there it is, by tag team, Cold Scorpio. If you're a millennial or younger, you're probably asking yourself, what is a jock jam exactly? Well, in the 90s, it was whatever ESPN defined it as for the purposes of their series of Jock Jams compilations. Most often hip-hop flavored dance pop bangers, which sometimes explicitly promoted physical movement of any and all kinds. Coinciding with this musical craze was the ascent of Charles Skaggs, aka Cold Scorpio. Cold is a pioneer of the high-flying style of wrestling that became popular in the early 1990s with his innovative offense, which included the never-before-seen off-the-top rope 450 splash. Scorp began his career in WCW, but eventually headed up north to the city of brotherly love. No, not him. That's more like it. And wrestled for Paul Heyman's ECW, where he really started to come into his own after winning their television title several times. Coming down the aisle to the fittingly named hip-hop duo known as Tag Team, Whoop, there it is, was the quintessential jock jam that escorted Cold to the ring and wound up turning the fans at the ECW arena/bingo hall into a group of party people faster than you can say French vanilla, Rocky Road, chocolate peanut butter cookie dough. Here comes the Hot Stepper by Ini Kamoze, the Public Enemy. Speaking of the land of the extreme, when Paul E. was given the role of head booker in ECW, one of his first major decisions was putting together the team of Flyboy, Rocco Rock, and Johnny Grunge. These two hoodlums might have looked a little strange with their uncoordinated dancing, but once they got in the ring, the Public Enemy were just two South Philly thugs looking for a fight. Waving their hands in the air like they just didn't care, Grunge and Rock weren't swayed to follow their musical genre surnames when it came to choosing an entrance theme song. Instead, the two burly bruisers, who dressed like the hip-hop duo Crisscross, chose Jamaican reggae artist Ine Kamoze's jock rock jam of Here Comes the Hot Stepper. Now at first, fans thought this gimmick was wiggity 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 whack. However, soon enough they won over most of the crowd thanks to their ultra-violent style and creative use of tables. Despite their short career, the Public Enemy are remembered for revolutionizing a brand of hardcore tag team wrestling and for some iconic ECW moments and post-match dance parties. Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses, the Steiner Brothers. Rick and Scott Steiner should be considered one of the greatest tag teams of all time thanks to their accolades across multiple promotions like the NWA, WWE, and New Japan. However, they are most likely overlooked due to the erratic behavior of Big Brother Scott, seeing as how he has become one of the most controversial figures in all of pro wrestling, the same of which could obviously be said about Guns N' Roses frontman W. Axl Rose. Not one to shy away from speaking his mind, the Lightning Rod lead singer who notoriously showed up late for concerts night after night, and like Freakzilla, was known to not have a little patience towards anything. Nonetheless, he's one of the most talented performers of all time, and from its sleazy groove to the ferocious stabbing of Slash's guitar and Axl's menacing vocals, Appetite for Destruction's opening track, when blasted away through stadium speakers, acts as the perfect threat to any away team. This classic GNR song also made the Steiners' NWA opponents want to grab a seat on the first night train out of town because the dog-faced gremlin and Big Papa Pump were out to get him, and they weren't planning on taking anybody to Paradise City. Fight for Your Right by the Beastie Boys, The New Breed. Sean Royal and Chris Champion, aka The New Breed, were an up-and-coming tag team who wrestled for Jim Crockett Promotions during the mid to late 1980s and claimed to be time travelers from the year 2002 when, according to these futuristic friends, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, would be President of the United States. Sporting wild hair designs and wearing patterned pants inspired by the popular clothing brand Jams, Champion and Royal chose a young hip-hop trio out of New York City to be their voice as they made their way to the ring. You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party by the Beastie Boys was the perfect adolescent attitude party anthem for the Breed and helped these two heels become cool with the NWA wrestling fan base. Written by the late great MCA, Fight for Your Right made the duo stand out in a crowd of Southern rockers and put these two on the fast track to superstardom. We Will Rock You by Queen, the Raging Bull Manny Fernandez, and Ravishing Rick Rude. If there's one thing you can count on at a professional sporting event, it's loud, rocking music. They're the typical standards: Rock and Roll Part 2 by that pedophile Gary Glitter, and Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. But somehow, it's the band Queen that became sports rock anthem kings. When you're talking about the greatest stadium anthems ever, your list has to start with We Will Rock You, and there's not even a close second. What other tune can make 20,000 plus fans immediately stop what they're doing and begin clapping and stomping along to the bombastic beat? Nearly 35 years later, and this banger is still at the very epicenter of sports and music. However, the randomly thrown together team of Fernandez and Rude that were managed by Paul Jones were also one of the most underrated tag team combinations in NWA history. Consistently feuding with fan favorites like the Rock and Roll Express and the Road Warriors, the Awesome Twosome were ahead of their time musically as they chose arena rock royalty for their entrance theme. And that's it for our list. Leave a comment down below on any Jammin' Jock Rockers we might have missed, and please do us a favor if you can by giving this video a massive thumbs up. And go ahead and share it with your friends who you think might also like it, because it really helps our channel grow and reach new people. Also, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing for weekly wrestling theme song content, and don't forget to follow us on social media so you get all our latest updates, and we'll see you next time, wrestling behind the themes.